when I tell stories about how I was far from Jesus, there's people in the pews in some of our locations going, I was actually there for that story.
I arrested him.
Yeah. It's actually, I just got that email. Yeah. People remember praying for me when I had done all the bad things. Cause I wasn't always a Jesus follower.
Man, a prophet normally doesn't have any kind of respect in his hometown. And
I don't.
You've found
I don't
a
have
way.
any respect. The good news is
I don't know if you've realized this or not, but since COVID especially, the mental health crisis has only skyrocketed. You have friends and family members, and even yourself, that have struggled with anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, and possibly even suicide itself. A lot of this can be linked to our phones, can be linked to social media, can be linked to living through COVID, but all of us have something that can trigger mental health issues. So at Church 360, we're walking through a series that's simply called Weeds in My Garden. And I wanted to bring on the pastor who basically started this movement. He created this series initially, and since then, hundreds of churches have taken this idea and made it their own, as we are doing right now, in an effort to help people, help parents with kids that are struggling with mental health issues, and help us all. And so today, we're going to get to hear from Pastor Clayton Hentzel. He's the lead pastor of a multi-site congregation up in the Missouri, Illinois, and Iowa locations. He's going to tell us more about that. It's simply called The Crossing, and you're going to love what he has to say. So here's my conversation with Pastor Clayton Hentzel. Clayton, it is so good to have you on the podcast. For our listeners that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you live, what you do, how to pronounce your last name, all those good things.
Easy. First of all, thanks for having me. My name is Clayton Hentzel, and I am 6'6", 300 pounds. I classify myself as the world's sexiest man over 300. I'm a lead pastor of a church in Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri. I live in the middle of nowhere. When I say I live in Illinois, they go Chicago. I go no. When I say I'm from Missouri, they go St. Louis. I go no. We're 2 hours north of St. Louis, 4 hours south of Chicago, where 4-lane roads go to die, and it is gravel and chip seal and asphalt.
Now, it is a rather unique situation because it's in Quincy. Is that right?
Correct. That's where I live.
Okay.
That's where our broadcast location is.
Okay. So it's started in Quincy, Illinois, but because you're so close to state lines, when you started doing multi-site years ago, it ended up going into other states, which I remember was a nightmare during COVID because some states were open and some states were not. For all of us complaining about those days of leading a church, man, you had it way worse.
Yeah, we had 3 different governments. We had 12 different mayors. It was a hill, and we made national news twice because no matter what we decided to do, we were frustrating somebody somewhere.
Yeah,
and we went ahead and did camp and a conference and followed all the mandates, and they still, whether it happened or not, traced an outbreak to us. So we were, what would they call them? Spreaders.
Yeah.
We were super spreaders.
Super spreaders. Yeah.
And we've been super spreaders of the gospel for a long time and got zero recognition. But when we started to super spread a little Corona along with our Jesus, CNN sure seemed to like it.
They do tend to like that. Okay. So one of the cool things that you guys did and have continued to do is you would go into small towns and restore maybe some dying churches or churches that didn't know what to do now, so they handed you the keys, which is a little different than typical churches that are in big cities that are just building these massive complexes that are satellites. Talk a little bit about your strategy that your predecessor had, and have you kind of kept that and tweaked that? Because we're all big fans of Jerry Harris, and he did a great job, but how has that changed over the years?
So let me begin by saying Jerry Harris has a superpower, and his superpower is faith. This guy just believes. that God is going to be faithful and it's all going to work out. And we would launch campuses with a week's worth of money in the bank total. We didn't have enough to cover the expenses for 2 weeks. And he'd be like, you know what? I think we can put a campus there. And I mean, faith that it's impossible to follow in. You know, if there was an extra chapter in Hebrews, if there was an addendum to Hebrews 11, Jerry and Allison, through prayer and faith, just said yes over and over and over again. And for context, I mean, I'm so rural that I don't make sense to people who live in a real city. So let me put it in context. We have 12 locations and only 5 of them have a Walmart.
Okay. Now that's great context there. Wow.
3 of them have either a Home Depot or a Lowe's. We have 0 Chick-fil-A's, 0 Chipotle's. We just got 1 Cane's, if that thing has made its way in your direction. We are rural. When you ask me where's a good place to eat, I tell you Bob's. Like it's all home food. It's all local restaurants that nobody's ever heard of. And so our largest community is 40,000. Our smallest community is 100.
Wow. And these are where your campuses are.
That's correct.
That is amazing.
We've had 2 churches come to us and say, would you help us? Can we become a part of who you are? The rest have been us saying, I think we can take this ground for Jesus. And nobody else is going to, the gospel light is going to shut off in that town, or the lighthouse, if you will. If you view each church as a lighthouse, keeping people from hitting the rocks in the harbor. We try to keep the lighthouses going in every town that we can say yes to.
Tell me about a campus that didn't work.
Well, we did one in Mossel Bay, South Africa, and that we were probably a little early in our multi-site strategy to go transcontinental. That one was a bit of a hill. And we tried one in Kentucky, and for whatever reason, that one in Paducah, Kentucky, that one never caught fire. We had all the right people, some of our very best people, but we just weren't received. But actually, most of our multi-sites have been a journey of pain that we just endured. So actually, one of my favorite stories is we had a campus in Kirksville, Missouri. We had a group of 100 people come and say, we want you to do in our town what you do in Macomb, which was our first multi-site. They said, we're going to guarantee you X amount of people. We're going to guarantee you X amount of money. Let's do this thing. So we did this thing with all the faith that you can possibly imagine. And it took 10 years for that campus to finally get healthy. And every year it was a bloodbath on some level. And now that campus is running 600 to 700 people, and it's as healthy as it's ever been. But it takes time. It takes a lot of time sometimes. But our newest location is in you're going to love this. It's in a town of nobody, but it's situated 15 minutes from 2 cities. And the church died and they gave it to us. We raised $500,000. We redid the entire place, top to bottom, new sound system, new seats, new carpet, new paint, new lobby, new everything for $500,000. And our church is praying for them to hit 300 4 weekends in a row. And they're at 260 right now.
Wow.
So we couldn't be more thrilled. They launched on Christmas Eve with 400, I believe, or 350.
Okay. So for those that are not in this realm, they don't think this way, but you and I live in this world where everything's a metric of well, you got to hit so many people for critical mass. They've got to give $1,000 a year to be able to sustain, and you get one staff person per 100 people. All these little metrics that help us kind of navigate God's resources. What you're doing is like foolish compared to in many people's
100%.
minds. But I mean, for you to say it took 10 years to get healthy, most people would have pulled the plug by then. Is that just the lingering effect of a lead guy with the gift of faith? Do you have that same spiritual gift? Or is it just, this is kind of the DNA? We don't give up, we don't stop, and we keep going?
That's a great question. I would love to say that I have the same spiritual gifts that Jerry does in regards to faith, but I wouldn't put myself in the same category.
Yeah.
We just realized that we live in an environment where the metrics that a lot of other churches use that are our size just don't work.
Yeah.
So we operate on about 50% of the national average on giving.
Mm-hmm.
And so we launch entire campuses for what most churches, for half of what most churches put in their sound system.
Yeah.
And we just figure out a way to say yes in our environment. And then our metrics are, we have one staff for every 150 people that attend our church.
Okay.
And so you just write it out. When I took over, this is definitely metric stuff. Only 3 of our campuses were cash flow positive.
Okay.
So we were funding,
Sure.
we were supporting the remaining 8. So I would say I had the world's largest missions budget.
I was going to say, do you all treat that as missions?
We not on the spreadsheet.
Okay.
But as far as this is one of Jerry's greatest lines. Every dollar that is given to our church is in the mission budget.
Yeah.
Because it's one mission. Yeah. Whether it's here or anywhere, we are trying to help people who are far from God find an intimate personal relationship with him. My only tagline on that is, we're going to make this region where we do ministry the hardest place on planet Earth to get to hell from.
Yeah.
And for context, our church services 10,000 square miles. So our church is the size of New Jersey. And we have a church for every person in New Jersey functionally to be able to drive 20 minutes and go to one of our locations.
Wow. That's fantastic.
We love it. And I love it. Absolutely love it. I have 0 traffic jams. I can go all the way across town and not hit a stoplight if I don't want to. And it's 15 minutes everywhere in town, and it's 2 hours everywhere else.
Did you grow up in a small town?
Believe it or not, when I went to college and said yes to Jesus, that I'm going to go into ministry, I told my parents, I've committed my life to the Lord. I may never see you again, because I want the reward of anybody who has left their father and mother will be rewarded. I want that reward. So I may never see you again. I ended up getting hired for a job I didn't apply for in Quincy, Illinois, 60 miles from where I grew up in Iowa. My parents actually now attend a church that we planted, and they in Keokuk, Iowa. And so my parents are 15 minutes from 2 of our locations.
Wow.
Yeah. And my brother attends the church I started in Macomb, and my sister's husband works at the church in Quincy, but he started in Macomb. And so, when I tell stories about how I was far from Jesus, there's people in the pews in some of our locations going, I was actually there for that story.
I arrested him.
Yeah. It's actually, I just got that email. Yeah. People remember praying for me when I had done all the bad things. 'Cause I wasn't always a Jesus follower.
Man, a prophet normally doesn't have any kind of respect in his hometown, and
I don't.
You've found
I don't
a
have
way.
any respect. The good news is I'm not asking them to follow me. I'm asking them to follow Jesus.
Oh, there you go.
They don't have to respect me. They just got to respect him.
Man, so here you are from Iowa, moved up to the big city of Quincy, Illinois. Is that the home of Shoeless Joe Jackson?
You know what? I don't think so.
But that's Hannibal. That's across the line.
No, Hannibal. I don't know if Shoeless Joe Jackson, but that's Mark Twain.
Okay.
So like Huck Finn and all that stuff is 20 minutes from my house.
Okay. I thought it was Shoeless Joe from Hannibal Moe. That's what
That might be.
That is right across the line.
You're older than I am.
Just a touch. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you're older than I am.
I didn't know Shoeless Joe Jackson. Goodness.
Well, I mean, you were closer than I was.
I was around when the movie came out.
There you go.
8 Men Out.
Yeah, I was born in 83.
Oh, man. See, you missed out on the good days of the 80s.
Let me brag for a second. So I married my wife. She's older than me. When I married her, she had a daughter who was 11.
Okay.
So 4 months ago, I had to drop my son, my oldest son, off at the junior high, go back home, grab my youngest son, drop him off at the elementary school, to then go to the hospital and hold my grandbaby for the first time.
Wow.
So not only am I the sexiest guy over 300, I just might be the sexiest grandpa at 42.
I think that's the next edition of People Magazine.
That's exactly right. That's
you
why
know who you do look like. It just occurred to me. I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but Ben Napier from Hometown.
Okay, I get Travis Kelce sometimes.
Okay, I could see Travis Kelce.
I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, so I'll take it.
God bless you. Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm praying for one more good year from Kelce. Just one really good year.
It would be. Yeah, this year was disappointing.
It was because I really wanted him to win it and walk away and get married and everything would be great. So,
yeah.
Oh, well. Okay. Well, let's get down to business here. What I really wanted to talk to you about. Let me back up. COVID hit and everything kind of fell apart, obviously, in our world, specifically when it came to mental health. And we've been living with that for the last 5 years. We've always had a mental health issue in our country, but it only was highlighted and magnified. And some would say it started when social media hit, and the trend is it goes hand in hand. But post-COVID, it got really bad. And I was one of those pastors, as many did, who felt like, okay, we'll preach a message or we'll preach a series on mental health and deal with that to some degree. But you really got a hold of it. And you created a series that so many churches have done their take on it, and we're doing it now at Church 360, called Weeds in My Garden, that really dealt with this issue. And so I want you to walk our listeners through what led you to this, and is this kind of like an overflow of I saw this in our church or I saw this in my own life? Do you have a history of battling mental health issues? Just give us all the background before we get to the learnings from it all.
So great setup. So I took over a year after COVID as the lead pastor. And there was a whole bunch going on. I felt like our people had lost their minds. Mm-hmm. So that's like one part. Like, how do we speak to this? We need to do something. And at the same time, I was reading stuff about what was happening inside of pastors, not people, pastors. And that pastors were basically tapping out and going, I don't got any more juice. Yeah. And I'm going, if the shepherds are sick, what's happening to the sheep? And so I was going, I need to really look into this. Then I read an article by Ben Kacharis about the state of mental health that he wrote in the Christian Standard magazine. Mm-hmm. And I was going, we need to step into this. Now, I was super nervous to step into it for a couple of reasons. I'm not sophisticated enough to know all the Enneagram stuff and all the hardwiring stuff of how people are made up. But I am an up and to the right guy 99% of the time. I wake up on the same side of the bed, and it doesn't matter which side of the bed it is because I'm happy. Yeah. I'm optimistic. However, I cast a huge shadow, which means if I don't give 3 high fives to a person, they assume something's wrong. Like, are we okay? And I had people who were close to me who, when they went through their period of depression, they would blame me. Wow. And like I would become the scapegoat for the problem. Huh. And it didn't happen once. It happened 4 times. And so what happened in me is the moment I heard that somebody was struggling with mental health, I would recoil. because it's like if you're poor living right next to somebody who's rich, like you're just rubbing your optimism. And I'm such a big, boisterous guy who just says whatever's coming out of his mouth that I would just crush their spirit and then they would blame me. Mm-hmm. And my mom had huge mental health issues when I was in 7th grade. She'd had 2 miscarriages, and it just crushed her. And so I realized like I'm just afraid to talk about mental health stuff because I just don't want to get myself into the middle of it. At the same time, on a personal note, there had been about 3 times in my life where I had really dark suicidal thoughts. Once was big time in high school when I had made a bunch of bad decisions that I now get to preach about. And then I had 2 other serious moments where, and I would say it lasted for 48 hours, where you're just not seeing any future. Mm-hmm. And so I knew that there was enough of it in me to go, we should step into this, but I had no clue how to step into it. I'm not a big social media guy, but one night I came home, I'm like, I want to speak on this. I just don't know how. I'm scrolling through Instagram and I find this random, like I had been in my office, couldn't figure out how to put this together. Yeah. I go to lay down because I sleep through pain. If I'm stressed, I take a nap. If I'm anxious, take a nap. I just sleep through my problems, wake up the next day with a full clip, and I'm like, let's go. Before I go to bed, I'm scrolling through Instagram, almost never do it. And this Soundhouse reel has this girl singing this song called Weeds in My Garden. And I went, that's it. Woke up the next day, 12 weeks, it was all there. It was like, once I have a frame, we can just go. Yeah. And the line is, I'll give you roses, just hoping you don't see the weeds in my garden. And I went, I can talk about it because everybody can relate to that we don't want people to know what's actually going on. Yeah. And so we built out a 12-week series. I told our elders, we're going to do mental health for the next 12 weeks. Before I had finished preaching the 3rd sermon on Sunday, one of my elders said, now we don't have to do this for 12 weeks. He hadn't even heard the first sermon. He goes, if we need to cut this down to 4 or 5, we can. Like when we took this step, we were going, we're going to talk about this, but it may absolutely destroy our church because nobody wants it. Yeah. We could not have been more wrong. Our attendance jumped 10% the weekend we started it, and we were up 20% by the end of the series. I still get emails every 2 weeks or so of somebody in our church whose faith journey started because we were talking about it. And I was super nervous because, again, if you're dealing with mental health issues, I'm poison, not the antidote. And I just told the church that. I go, I'm here to help. I'm not here to hurt. And I kind of framed it as either you have it or you know somebody who does. Yep. So this is to help you navigate it or to help you help people through it. Yeah. And I circled up some counselors in our church and I said, I'm going to write this from a biblical perspective. And then I want you to go through it. And I want you to tell me what I need to say so I don't hurt people. Like, is there something I need to say better, say differently? Like, I'm giving you authority to help soften and help guide and direct. And by God's grace, they didn't have to edit hardly anything. Wow. Like when I sat down to write, it came with the right verbiage, the right phrasing, so I was able to tell people every week, this is counselor approved. And that was a huge amount of confidence for me because I was very, very scared.
Do you remember any of those terms that you had to kind of tweak? Or, I mean, for instance, I didn't know that you shouldn't say they decided to take their life.
Right.
But rather died by suicide.
Yeah.
because you're not in your right mind at that moment to make a right decision. Were
Yeah.
there some of those kind of things that you remember you thought, I need to change the way I say that?
There was like small tweaks all throughout it. It's kind of, the easiest way for me to describe it is years ago, people would talk about a third world country.
Yeah.
And now we use a developing country.
That's good.
That like, there's a way to ascribe honor to somebody who's navigating something.
Right.
And that's what we want to do. We want to be people who honor people. They're made in the image of God. But one of the things that really helped us was I did a survey. And so I was able to show our people our stats. Because, and then the best line is on our survey was, after you've gone through and listed all your things, I just said, and how many of you know somebody who wrestles with this? And it's 100%.
Of course.
So here, I tell our church that, porn consumption is like 60% in America. And if I talk on porn, I'm hitting 60% of our people.
Right.
If I preach on tithing, 75% of our people don't tithe. So we have a bigger giving problem than a porn problem. But when we talked about mental health issues, we were talking to 100% of our people.
Right. Right.
And you rarely get an opportunity to do that because you either are somebody who's struggling or you know somebody.
Do you feel like, because we're 5 years removed from COVID, we're probably 3 to 4 years since you first preached this series. Do you feel like that the rhetoric around this has become white noise, or is it still on the front stove for everybody? What are you seeing?
So we're going to do this exact same series probably in 3 years.
Okay.
And here's, it is not going away.
Yeah.
And in the reason it's not going away, I don't know if you've read this, and I don't know if you want me to recommend a book written by an atheist, but Anxious Generation.
Yeah.
I just did a book report from stage for my sermon. And I said this during Weeds in My Garden. I've said this about 4 other times. If you're a parent and you want your kid to be anxious and depressed, let them have social media.
Yeah.
And you're just guaranteeing that they're going to struggle, not if, guaranteeing it. And that book it broke my heart when I read it. Absolutely broke my heart, and said, we're going to take this on. But since Weeds in My Garden, we've launched a counseling center. So we have Christian counseling at our church now. We just hired more counselors. We have a 6-week waiting list. This is not going away. Yeah. As long as people are not following Jesus Christ, as long as they are on social media, as long as they are still struggling with sin, and as long as they are isolated, yes, there is going to be a backlog of people needing a counselor.
How do you facilitate the counselor? Do you pay for a certain number of hours? Do you hire them full-time to be on your staff? What's it look like?
So we hire one full-time person.
Okay.
And then we hire our contract people as the need grows. Okay. We have a desire as an organization to not keep people in counseling. We want them to graduate.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So we try to set up our counseling as, we're going to give you 6 injections, and then we're going to release you. And then if you need a tune-up, we'll bring you back in, and we'll try and do it in 3, but we do not want to create people who forever have a counselor.
Right.
We want to kind of build their own muscles to be able to navigate things. And maybe you need a tune up every so often.
Okay. So just basic logistics here for our church leaders out there. Do you have a counseling center at the broadcast campus? Is it located elsewhere in town? I mean, people from other sites, can they access that? Or do they do telehelp? What works there?
We have got to be alive during the coolest time on planet Earth. So we have counseling that is face-to-face, and we have counseling that is virtual.
Yeah.
And we can meet with anybody anywhere at any moment in time with our team from wherever. We set up a great room, a great video setup, a great room for them to meet in person. Some people are going, I don't want to come in. I don't want to wait in a lobby. I don't want to see that person in the store at the grocery store. So I just want to be able to tune in from my house.
Yep.
Other people are going, I want to be in the room. I want to feel loved. And you know, there's only so much love that you can convey over a screen, and they need the physical presence. Sometimes it's, so we use both.
Right. That's really good. Just the legalities of it all. Is this like a professional counselor that has their degree and all that? Sometimes they're bound by state lines. Do you have to deal with that? Or are we talking, this is pastoral counseling and it's wherever?
This is clinical counseling.
Okay.
With a biblical framework.
Okay. It's great. And are they able to cross state lines? So if somebody from your Iowa location is meeting with somebody from your broadcast location in Illinois, does that work?
There is nobody that we can't meet with.
Okay.
Now we got approvals in all of those states.
Sure.
So that way we could do whatever we needed to do. But if they cross the state line and meet with us in Illinois, we're in Illinois.
Yeah, exactly.
But over video and all those things, our team, we have a whole team of people that keep me out of jail.
Okay. You don't need to go back there.
Yeah, I said, listen, guys, you somebody else needs to go to jail if we're doing this poorly, and they've been great at that.
Okay, so let me ask you, 12 weeks. So you start carving this up, and you want to talk about, things like, let's talk about this. We kick it off with, it's okay to not be okay. Then you get into things like anxiety. You get into things like worry, depression, suicide, those kind of issues. Was there one particular week you thought, whoa, I didn't realize what a nerve we would hit with that one?
That's a really good question. I want to honor it with some thinking. The first week was the one where we hit the biggest nerve. Let me explain that, because it's actually been one of the biggest gifts to us as a church and how we talk to people. When we talk about mental health, the way I described it is there are 4 buckets. And the problem is we've painted with such a big brush.
That's good.
With mental health that we weren't speaking accurately. And so here are the 4 buckets. One is situational. One is biological.
Mm-hmm.
One is clinical.
Mm-hmm.
And one is spiritual.
That's so good.
The problem that I faced for so long was I put everything in the spiritual bucket.
Yes, which is what most church people do. And they think you should just pray this away.
Pray, repent, stop.
Yep.
Now, guess what? Brilliant advice. If the reason they're experiencing problems is a sin issue.
Correct.
Horrible advice if it's one of the other 3 buckets.
Exactly.
So let's talk about situational. I have a pastor's Bible, that you can probably only get at like a Bible college.
Yeah. Like
it tells you how to dedicate a house, which, I don't know how many houses you've dedicated.
A couple.
Yeah. But in the back of it, it actually had a thing about situational things that people went through, and it assigned a score to them. And it said, if you went through a divorce, that's a 35.
Yeah.
If you it had all these things. And it says, if you are over 50, you are experiencing intense trauma. And it actually said, now I probably misdid what for divorce or whatever being the numbers. I don't have that Bible here right now. It's at home. But when I read that one day, I would talk to people and I would just be like Rain Man, just adding up the digits inside of my head. And I'd be going, you're just going through it. I just talked to a guy on Tuesday. Okay. His mom died 8 months ago. His dog died 4 months ago. And his son died 2 days ago. For that guy not to be going through a mental health crisis.
Really? Oh my
is
goodness.
impossible.
Right.
This has nothing to do with his faith.
No, it's not
This
spiritual.
has nothing to do with anxiety.
Right.
This has everything to do with you are walking through the valley of the shadow of death.
Mm-hmm.
And what you need to know is that, you know what? Jesus is with you in your situation.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not come out of this for a while, but right now this is just situational. And since it's situational, the only way through is through.
Yep.
Then there's the biological.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at you. You have a way better metabolism than I do. That's awesome. When God was making you, he said, I'm going to spend way less time on Rusty. I'm going to make this one really efficient, but I'm going to take my time. I want to make as many skin cells as possible. I want as many blood vessels as I can pack into somebody. And so when God made me, he spent a little more time. And when you and I look at each other, there is an aspect to how we look that is based off of decisions that we make.
Hmm.
And there's an aspect to how we look that is a decision that was made on our behalf.
Hmm.
And there are some people who just have chemical imbalances.
Mm-hmm.
They're not sinning. They're not wrong. There's just the way that their body doesn't produce as much insulin as somebody else, but we don't look at the diabetic and go pray more.
Right.
So there's an aspect of this that is very much clinical.
Yep.
Or sorry, medical and biological.
Right.
Then there's the third bucket, which this is where you need a professional. You are believing a lot of lies, and your behavior as you're going through situations is rewiring your brain. Social media is rewiring the brains of our kids. And if you read The Anxious Generation, have you read this book?
I haven't. I've heard of it.
Listen to me, Rusty. For every pastor listening to me, read this book. Outside of the Bible, it will be the most important book you will read in the next 12 months.
Okay.
It is. I cannot recommend it enough. I'm making everybody on staff read it. Jonathan Haidt.
Okay.
Haidt. The picture of the book has like a girl surrounded by a bunch of, I think, yellow balloons or balls. His premise is two things have happened to our kids. We've moved from a play-based childhood to a phone-based childhood. And he graphs the introduction of the smartphone and social media and watches everything. Self-harm skyrocketed, depression skyrocketed, anxiety skyrocketed, suicide skyrocketed, loneliness skyrocketed. And it has everything to do with social media and smartphones.
Yep.
It's brilliant. I'm having everybody in our church read it. And I've gotten more positive feedback from a book report by an atheist at my church for a sermon I preached than I have in years since Weeds in My Garden. But when you are consuming social media, it is rewiring your brain.
Yeah.
And you sometimes just need somebody smarter than you to help you figure out a way through. I'm not super gifted at fixing stuff on my car. But there's some stuff I can fix. Like when it's low on gas, I can fill it up.
Mm-hmm.
When it needs an oil change, I can change it, or I know to take it somewhere. But when there's a code that flashes, I have no clue. These big old hands aren't fitting anywhere in a modern car. So I take it to somebody who's been there before, who's moved around the engine before, who knows their ways, has better playbooks. And I let them address the situation and give me a playbook to run. And sometimes that's just what you need. You need a coach who's going to go, we're going to try and stop believing this lie, and we're going to start moving in this direction. People get golf coaches. They get diet coaches. They get leadership coaches. Sometimes you need a life coach.
Yeah.
And if we were to frame counselors as life coaches, helping you get your life back, more people would go. Then the final one, so we've moved all the way down, is the spiritual one. Here's what matters, is there's a lot of people that are actually in the spiritual bucket.
Yeah.
And you can't get counseling out of that one. And you can't take a pill to balance a chemical out of that one.
Right.
That one requires repentance, sometimes abstinence, letting go of certain things and grabbing hold of other things. If the blessings of God flow in the direction of obedience, I cannot expect to have a blessed life with God while operating in rebellion to him. And so if you're going through some stuff because of decisions that you are making, now these buckets, if we were to take a 5-gallon bucket of your problems, Rusty, we could probably put some water in each of the buckets. But when we're talking about stuff to our people, we need to be able to help them understand your stuff just might be in a different bucket, which helps people process what they're going through.
Right.
I'm not depressed. I had a fight with my 13-year-old.
Right.
My 13-year-old is going through some chemical stuff because testosterone's flying through his body.
Yep.
I'm going through a situational thing with my kid.
Yeah.
Because this is just what mornings are like with teenagers.
Yeah.
But sometimes we need a framework to be able to walk through it. Furthermore, give me 3 more minutes. I know I'm over talking here.
No, this is awesome.
I spent some time on a lake growing up. Okay. And the water was always cold. And you would try to ease your way into the water, and then somebody on a jet ski would come by and splash you. That's trauma. But that wasn't caused by me. That was caused by somebody else. Sometimes it's because I'm in the water because I want to be there and I need to stop splashing. Mm-hmm. And so when you're out in the water, but here's where a big thing opened up for a lot of parents in our church. If you live on the lake, there's 2 places you can live. You can live out on the point, and you can live back in the cove. And when you live out on the point and you get in the water to swim, all you experience are boats going by and the wind blowing. And so for some people who grew up on the point, they have never known peace. All they've ever experienced is wind and waves. And in some of them, it created resilience. That's the parent who says, you don't know what it was like when I grew up.
Right.
They went through more challenges, but and for some, it created trauma. For others, it created resilience. Now let's go all the way back to the cove. Any parent wants a better life for their kids. So what did we do? We sold the house on the point, and we took them back into the cove past the no wake buoy so they could go swimming anytime they wanted. And they experienced a ton of peace.
Yep.
At the cost of resiliency.
Yep.
And so now when they venture out past the no wake buoy, they are ill-equipped for the waves. And so to go back to I said all of that before Jonathan Haidt came out with his book, The Anxious Generation. And we are hardwired to be anti-fragile, which means the breaking of us actually develops us. Mm-hmm. That hardship forms us.
Right.
And part of the reasons why our generation and older generations have been wildly successful is because they were born into and had to walk through adversity.
Right.
And we took all of that adversity and said, I'm not going to make my kids experience this, not realizing.
Right.
Did you ever hear about Biosphere 2? Oh,
no.
Almost every preacher has preached about Biosphere 2 at some point.
Biosphere 2. No.
There was a movie called Biodome.
Okay. Yeah.
Way back in the day, and it was a funny movie. I don't know if I should recommend it or not. It was so long ago that it may not be good.
Who was the goofy comedian that was in that?
Pauly Shore, I think.
Pauly Shore, that's right. Yes.
Okay. So I preached all about this, and then Jonathan Haidt, I'm recommending the book again, mentioned it. But lots of preachers have preached about it. They tried to make a self-contained living apparatus.
Yep.
So that way they could go to Mars, go to another planet, and they could do interplanetary life.
Right.
So they created all the ecosystems of planet Earth inside of this biosphere. And one of the challenges, it never worked. It's never been successful. And one of the reasons it wouldn't work is the trees would grow really, really fast, and then they would fall over. They would crush under their own weight. And what they didn't realize is in Biosphere 2, there was no wind. So the trees never developed the resilience that they needed to carry themselves.
Wow.
And so when the wind blows on a tree, it crushes some of the cells, it elongates some of the others, and it actually is what makes a tree, what makes wood strong. But if you remove all of the wind and the adversity from the growth of the tree, it will crush under its own weight.
Mm.
And so going through this and giving people the lake house illustration, the wind and waves illustration, biosphere illustration, and then helping them understand the buckets, gave people the freedom to talk and discuss and develop a strategy, because that's what you need.
Right.
You need a strategy. I mean, simple things. If the sun was a drug, the FDA would make it illegal. Like some people are not depressed. You don't have any vitamin D.
Yeah.
You need to go for a walk, get sun on your face, get the dirt underneath your feet, like Liver King, and you just need to be outside for a little bit. And what that does to your mental health is revolutionary. When you talk about people who are going, if I don't work out, I'm just not right. That there's something that happens about forcing yourself to be in the wind. The problem is when you're depressed, the last thing you want to do is put your shoes on and go for a run.
Right.
And so how do we help people? Because what I don't want to create an entire generation of everybody needing a counselor.
Right.
I want them to have a savior, first and foremost. I want them to have some trusted friends who aren't going to say stupid things when they're going through hardship. But we don't want people who are dependent on counselors to get through the day.
Right.
But for the people that are going, I'm in a dark valley and I'm not getting out of this on my own. We need those people.
Right.
What I tell people is, you are not going to get into a bad spot going and getting counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And here's how I describe it. When I buy a car, I don't know how you buy a car. I have an idea of what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't buy new cars. So I buy used ones, which means they've got a story. Mm-hmm. They've and some of them may have had some trauma. You know, if it was a rental, who knows what happened to that bad boy? Because I know how I drive mine. And so I take it to somebody and I go, I want you to look under the hood. And if you find anything wrong, I want you to tell me about it. Because I'm out nothing to take it to a genius and having him look the car over. And if I go to a counselor and they look under the hood and there's nothing there, praise God. Praise God.
Yep.
But if they look under the hood and there is something there that I didn't know about, I might leave my family stranded on the side of the road.
Yep.
And so what if there is stuff underneath the hood in all of our lives that is going to hurt the people we love the most? So why not? We spend, I don't know how much Netflix costs a year, but it's not just Netflix. We got Netflix, we got Apple TV, we got HBO Max, we got Amazon Prime. You start listing it up. $100 or $150 to have somebody look under the hood.
Yeah.
Might be the best money you've ever spent.
Right.
And going, you know what? I'm going to go in and I'm going to walk you through what I'm going through. And the goal is that's why when we created our counseling center, we created a counseling center that was not trying to create a factory that just kept people going around and around in circles inside the factory. We want to put you, this is an exit ramp. We want to get you back onto the on ramp as fast as humanly possible. But you're out nothing.
Yeah. Genius.
You're out nothing.
Genius. I'm a big advocate for counseling. I stayed away from it for a long time because I thought I just got to pray harder. And then, you hit the wall enough times, you're like, I got to actually talk to somebody. I remember that first round was just a gut-wrenching weep fest for me of getting it all out. And then it's become a little bit of routine maintenance ever since. And I love it.
And think of the gift you're giving to all the people that you love.
Yeah.
When you're not carrying that baggage into every conversation.
Because if you're not going to a counselor, you're expecting the people in your life to solve those issues.
Yeah.
And that's a horrible weight to put on them.
Without telling them that there's the issue.
Right. Exactly. You're just mad at them.
I want you to fix the thing that I haven't articulated.
Right. Good luck.
Yeah. What I tell people all the time is put a target on the wall. Any target on any wall, I want to hit it. But when you're going through life and you have no targets,
right,
all you're going to do is get shot.
Yep.
Because they're going to accidentally hit you or you're going to hit them.
Yep.
And here's the target I'm aiming at. So don't walk in front of it because I'm pulling the trigger.
Right. Exactly. Brother, this has been awesome. I knew it would be. You're just such a great communicator. Great metaphors for us, for everybody listening. Check out Weeds in My Garden at, we're starting it right now at Church 360, but obviously you can go to, what's your website, Clayton?
Thecrossing.net is our church website.
There you go.
We're One Crossing on YouTube if you're wanting to, watch me say stupid things. But listen, if you have a choice between listening to me or listening to Rusty, that's an easy choice. He is wise, he's sophisticated, he's smart, he's engaging. Pick him. Yeah, I'm the redneck version. I'm the hillbilly from the woods. But let me leave you all with a gift. Every single person at some point in time is going to walk through something.
Yep.
It's impossible to not have to walk through something. Learn as much as you can from it, but don't carry it.
Yeah.
Learn from it. Don't carry it, because you're going to end up blaming other people for stuff that happened in your past.
Yep.
And the good news is we have a freedom in Christ. God knows all of us. Like one of the best verses in all of Scripture. I mean, you know this, you're a preacher. Romans 5:8. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. But the best part of that verse is God demonstrates his own love for us in this, which means that when we were at our worst, God was at his best on our behalf.
Amen.
When we talk about him being omniscient, that means he knows absolutely everything about us and still chose to send his son on our behalf. So no matter how bad your situation, no matter how jacked up you are in the head because of chemical deficiencies, no matter how much trauma you have gone through, no matter how much you have sinned, there is no part of God that doesn't want every part of you.
Boom. That was awesome, brother.
Isn't God good?
Amen.
There's no one like him.
Nope.
There is no one like him.
Definitely not.
Oh,
my man, thank you. This has been fantastic, and really grateful for you and for what you're doing and your encouragement, especially over the past few months. So thank you, and love to have you back on the show, and we'll talk about something other than our mental health.
I can't wait. God bless you.
Well, Clayton, that was fantastic stuff. Thank you for being on the show. I'm sure there are many of you who are listening that are thinking, I know someone that needs to hear this. Please share it with them. Please subscribe to the podcast so you get more content just like that. And check out Church 360 during this series of Weeds in My Garden as we spend each weekend talking about how do we deal with mental health issues and what does God have to say about it and how does God actually help. And it's a whole lot more than just pray it away. Well, thank you for being with us. Share this with a friend, and we'll be back next week with brand new conversations. And until then, keep it simple.